It used to be hard to find the exact auto parts you needed, and that meant spending a lot of time at swap meets. It's a different game now when you can order exactly what you need from eBay Motors. They have 122 million parts, so you can always find the right fitment. Spend less time searching and more time building with the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Meet Cocovia Memory Plus with some of the most researched plant-based nutrients harnessing the natural compounds within the cocoa bean. To improve memory and brain function in just 8 to 12 weeks, try Cocovia Memory Plus capsules. Order today at cocovia.com. That's COCOAVIA.com and use coupon code CCV20 to get 20% off your order. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease.
La 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 la, la 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 la, Elmo's World.
Welcome to the Elmo's World podcast. Okay, welcome to Elmo's World podcast. This is Elmo Odor Jr., your host, and I am with Manuel Varela. He is from Santiago, Chile. He studied video game development and is now working on graphic design and working on making games mostly about animals. He has a website, friendlyllama.com, and I think he has a lot to talk about when it comes to human nature, the mind, religions like Buddhism, and we can get a better perspective of what it is to be someone from Chile. So Manuel, can you
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. First time I'm in a podcast, and I love this to just chat about philosophical things. I'm from Chile, and I'm a video game developer, and I like to read about the state of our society, and I feel that we're making so much mistakes that are so easily avoidable, because for example, this pandemic right now, it's been very hard. It's been a very hard situation that none of us was expecting at all. But it's something that can just happen, for most of human history, there's been pandemics. But this time it's very hard because we have a system in which we need to work, so to make a living, to be able to pay for food, and you have to go to the supermarket for food and all that stuff, and it's very hard to do this quarantine, especially when you look at how globalized the world is right now.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. For example, most of the people in this world actually live in the future because most of them take loans, and so expect that because they can work the next month, they can pay off for how they would live today. But when the system is stopped, well, everything goes to shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And that's what happens. Yeah, but for someone in Chile, what is the situation there? Is it good? Is it really bad?
Well, here in Chile, it's kind of bad actually. We have a government from the right wing, you can say. I think it's the government of Sebastián Piñera. I don't know if you've heard of him, but well, there's a funny thing that happened here in Chile. We were like kind of capitalist experiment during the 70s. After Allende was elected president, there was a dictatorship which was funded by the CIA, and they kind of just sold everything to the enterprises. And we have a very special case here where almost everything is privatized. So the water belongs to a Spanish company. The health system is almost completely privatized. Education is very expensive. and so that puts us in a very hard place to solve things, you know. Um, for example, right now we have Piñera, which he during the dictatorship he stole a bank, or not stole a bank. I mean, he made it go bankrupt. Actually, in the city where I live right now, and nobody trusts him. Uh, in the moment, I guess there were people who went for him, but right now, given the protests that has been going on, his uh, his approval has dropped to like 5%, 4%, and so nobody trusts the government. Even the BBC, I think I read that. They think that he also lost the how do you say, he's not governing anymore. Things just are going.
How is that? How is that? Like, then what's happening in the government if the executive doesn't have any power at all? What's happening?
Yeah, well, it's a shit show. There's just people talking about things. You know, the Minister of Health, he says some very stupid things. Everyone laughs, and they, for example, at the beginning of the pandemic, they said that it was going to be okay, that the virus, but he literally said that the virus might become a good person. And so it's like they're in a completely different world, you know, and they're surrounded by their own kind, and they can only they only see the senators, the, the governors, and they talk only with people in their own sector. So they don't really know what's happening, you know. There's people like dying from hunger, and people who can't work, who can get food, and they deny it because they really don't think that is going on.
Okay, yeah, it seems to me that even amidst the government's lack of response or competence, Chileans are pretty chill. I'm just joking.
Now,
Yeah, but seriously, like what are you doing? Like, are you just waiting for the next election so you could change the government, or is it just simply that because there's a pandemic you can't do anything politically?
well, actually, I don't. I feel like wait for the next election and just elect someone different won't make a very big difference, because I mean you can have a very good president, he could have very good intentions and be a highly moral person, but you still have a system where people can be corrupted very easily, you know, and they can still get so much out of it, and they lock themselves up in this like illusion that they control everything, that their decisions are very important, well, because they are, but they are imposed on us. So yeah, they live in a kind of bubble, and if we want to solve this kind of thing, if we want to go beyond these problems, I think we have to go beyond the political system also, you know. um, I mean, this is the system, the society is something that we all do, we're all making all the time, and so we actually really don't need to have senators, politicians, or anything. We should start to learn, like, to live. It sounds kind of spiritual, or I don't know, but we have to live in the moment, like face the things that are going on right now, and not focus on things that are actually our own imagination, you know, the economic system, the paycheck, debts, we're all just focusing on that sort of thing, but those are abstract things that we are imposing on ourselves and that actually causing us more trouble than solutions.
I guess that for a human being, uh, his needs for security or economics or logistics like food and paying for the bills is essentially the one of the most important things. But when you look at it, you also have to deal with the philosophical issues that one has to face
Yeah.
in life, right? And that's awesome what you said, that you have people actually have to divert their attention from something more important, which is finding themselves and living life to its fullest. And how would you think someone from Chile could do that, to live life to the fullest,
Mm.
as you say?
Well, it's hard because first of all, to get to that point, I think you have to have your other necessities covered. So, and by living in the present, I actually meant that we have to like grow our own food, maybe to learn for ourselves, and well, for example, I'm right now I'm trying to find some communities here in Chile. I just recently started googling eco villages, which I think are a very great way to go for the future. It's complicated because you again have a group of people organizing, and that's always hard. It's always been hard, and it's hard right now. But
I guess yeah, permaculture, for example, it's very it's one thing that's really famous or trending in China, where even famous TV stars just go to the farms, and they plant and they produce everything they use every day. But I guess that you would have to actually own lands or to actually have capital
yeah.
in order to do that, right? And that's why you have to live in eco villages. But how does that work actually? How do you think that would work if you yeah, as you suggested, eco villages?
Well, we would have to have a lot of information first of all, which we have. There's right now a lot of scientists studying human behavior and what factors determine human behavior, and a lot of aspects of psychology which we would really need to know if we want to live together. You know, it's just a bunch of information that right now we're just bypassing and ignoring because they don't serve this system. So first of all, we would have to make that information available for people who want to make communities and for people who want to join them, and try to make a good living out of the community where people feel safe and they feel secure, both physically and psychologically. You know, we have to transcend from this state of mind where they have to pay me in order for me to work. We have to like really like share the planet, you know, share the ground. And right now it's like you said, and you have to buy a land, you have to have capital, and it's complicated, and most people who think like me, it's kind of shaming. It's kind of well, it ashames a little bit to recognize that, yeah, I mean, we need money, but it's not that we actually need money. It's just that we're this is imposed. You know, it's so globalized that every land, every piece of ground, you know, it's all owned by someone. And it's because we've come a long way doing this, because maybe it served some purposes at the beginning. It was it must have been very comfortable to like settle down and figure out with your neighbors where does my house end and where does your house begin. But it went on, and now it's something completely different. For example, I go out of my house and I see outside every house is separated by a wall, a big wall, and
Mhm.
I don't know my neighbors. They don't know my neighbors, and, and we have all become so separated that we truly miss these things. You know?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Uh, I guess that for example, for me, one thing I would say to Chile is that you revolt, man. You have a social revolution, and whatever foreign company is trying to strangle your country, kick them out, man. You have the power. You're the people. Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
right, and but that's what's happening in my country, right? The oligarchs are being uh suppressed by our president, so that the people will get what they deserve. Like, for example, we have a telecompany who's not paying taxes, and he's now they got closed down because of the being penalized. And it's also attacking the privately owned water companies and electrical companies. And I'm seeing progress here, but I guess it's politics is different in Chile. And the second thing I would say is true human nature, because we humans are meant to be in open spaces, to live more relaxing and less stressful situations compared to being in cities and being in all that stuff. And I guess that's a factor that when you can't count the psychology in be of every citizen when when being in a very compact and small system where everybody is just there to work
Mm.
and not just to live.
Yeah,
And that's a real problem. Yeah.
it's a big problem. um, yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. That
Yeah,
didn't
but
lead to.
do you think that every Chilean feels this way when they live in the city, or some actually enjoy the impersonal life and just being alone in their apartment? Do you think?
Well,
Yeah. What do you think?
I think yeah, most people they're very accustomed to this. When you are born in a city, when you go to school in a city and have friends in a city, then your complete life is based on that style. And it's very hard to move from something like that, even when it's harming you. It could be doing harm to you, like for example, with the air that you breathe, it could be like highly polluted. Santiago is a very polluted city, but but when you are living in that way of life, you like internalize those values, and then most people end up defending it. So yeah, we had a very big social revolution. We're trying to tell the companies that stop their shit, or we're going to burn them up. I don't know, but it's way more complicated than that, because we would actually need to change our way of life. I mean, there could be like 2 million Chileans on the street, but then the day ends, and the next day they still get up and go to work. So it's not really changing. It's like we're like we organize to tell the leaders, the self-proclaimed leaders, that that they need to work for us, but we're not like to the point yet that I think we need to get to where we organize ourselves. And I don't know, like the break down the walls, start a garden to feed the people around. That's like the switch I think that has to be made to share the space and all that.
I guess those are for me actually those are very utopian views, or some would say very communist views. Like yeah, but don't get me wrong, but that's my first thought when you say that people are just living in a ecosystem where they work together without any form of money, or that's but I don't think that's the way you think it works, but um well, the real problem then you will face is economics, right? Because you will still need electricity,
Mm.
you will still need clean drinkable water, and all the products that modern production can offer,
Mm.
right?
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, so how would you solve that when you're in an eco village?
Well, I think that there's a big misconception that all the technology, the light, the clean water is like a fruit of capitalism. Most people think that if you don't have money, you can't have technology. But I think that's like a very big misconception. We have those things because humans have invented them. Capitalism right now is the way we are organized, and it has been separating us so much, telling us that we are separated, that we need to buy our own stuff, and you have to own, your food. You have to own your place. That when you talk about gathering people, organizing people, it is commonly called communism, because yeah, it feels like that it's associated with that, but it's completely different, because communism still makes a lot of problem. Communism still has a government, still has a money system, and it repeats a lot of the problems that are going on right now. So what I'm talking about is something completely different. We have all this technology, we have all these resources, and when we live right now, it's not an economy. I mean, just look at all the cars that are parked right now that are not being used, all the cameras, all the houses that are empty, and so it's all wasted. It's trash. Because we could have like so many less cars, and just everyone could use them, because we don't really need that many cars. But companies make so much by selling this, by telling everyone to get their own car, that it's been imposed and established in a way that it's hard to make the transition. And right now we need to make it.
Hmm. Yeah, but I guess that when we talk about communism, initially, in an idea purely perfect world where communism actually works, I guess initially you would have to have a very dictatorial government where every form of production is controlled, but and proper and all that stuff, private property is gone. And but I guess that after that the initial process, I think every communist actually desires what you
Yeah.
want, right? A perfect world where everything is free and production exceeds the scarcity, right? And that everything is perfect. But I guess that's where human nature comes in. you know, because we're not really robots who do good every time, and a lot of humans would be very greedy, you know, like they would want more than uh, they their counterparts or their friends or their family. And the funny thing is that we can see that in social media, right? For example, um, the main reason why you are on social media is not to look at other people, but to get more likes for yourself,
Right.
right? So it's for yourself actually, you know, and especially Instagram,
Yeah.
and you can see that, and TikTok, where you can see that people are not getting paid to dance. They're not getting paid to do what they have to do. They're just enjoying putting themselves out there, and
Mm.
especially in teenagers, especially girls, teenage girls, and they even come to the point where they objectify themselves in order to be more attractive and get
Yeah.
more viewers. Yeah, and so human nature is much more has a lot of weakness, and I don't think, for me, I don't think that we would be able to be in a perfect communist world unless we change this nature, you know. And what do
Mm.
you think?
Well, I think greediness and selfishness, it's not like per se part of human nature. Um, I think those are values that we live in a world right now where you can get much more benefit by being selfish. You don't share your things. If you just fuck people, you know,
Yeah.
you can get so much for yourself that it's kind of better. And being good and kind is just like a moral thing that, and it doesn't go more than that. Our human nature, I believe, is more like, well, it's very complex. It's hard to talk about human nature because we're just beginning to understand. But I think it has a lot more to do with interiorizing the world around you. You know. So if you live in a greedy system, you're going to be greedy. But if you are born into a society based on love and kindness, then that's the way you're going to behave. You know. And social media, well, it's another thing because it's designed in a way to to make you addicted to it. You know, I mean, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they're all, well, they all belong to Facebook, which makes profit out of advertisement. So that's their goal, you know. They're a company and they need to make money. I mean, Facebook, Instagram, they're all free, but they're not really free because they're making money out of your attention and out of every advertisement you watch. And so what they need to do is get you to look at more ads. And the way they do it is by making you addicted to it. So it's kind of taking all our social vulnerabilities, and like I said before, we really try to interiorize our external world, and we really want to be like accepted, you know. And that's like our main drive, to have a social group where you feel safe, because that's the way we survived for many years being hunter gatherers. And if the group suddenly decides that they don't like you, that you're a piece of shit, then you can just fuck off, and you're going to be dead in a couple of days, you know. So you truly need to be accepted, and the better the group thinks of you, the better are your odds of survival. So with Facebook, with Instagram, we see these things. We see people getting so much likes, and because right now, in a way, our tribe is based on social media. Especially now with the pandemic, we're all communicating through social media, and it has a set of rules very different from real communication. So this is the like. For example, if we had a social network that could just focus on your well-being, that used your information not to sell you ads, but to be aware of how you feel. Of if you're sad, for example, it could, I don't know, just saying, it could tell a friend of you to talk to you, and then you come together, you meet, and you feel better. If the social network was designed that way, it would be very, very different.
Yeah. What you said earlier, that a person internalizes what society tells him or teaches him, right, or shows him, and that's where the problem of either is it human nature, or is it simply the nurture part or the environment that forms who we are. But I guess that initially there was no society the first time. There was just us trying to with families, not really living in tribes, but more of as in the family unit where we try to live. But then that's where we started to be in bigger groups, and in bigger groups, and eventually forming the nations and the globalization. But then I would say that society was actually dictated by who we already evolved to be as humans, right? And for example, as you said, that we human beings want to be accepted by the tribe so that we could be welcome in society. And that's where the social media works, where it rewards us for being able to conform to how people like us or view us. And so initially I would say that it is biological, and even our the social constructs is mostly based on on the conflicts that come out of the biology in humanity, especially in our psychology, right? And we in society, we constantly have these conflicts, and we have reached where we are today because of these conflicts. But I guess that also society can have an effect in social and human nature as well. Right? For example, a society could choose who gets to live or who gets to thrive in a society, and that biology or that nature in a specific human is rewarded, and he is able to continue living on. And we can see that the most greedy people are usually the ones who thrive the most now. And I guess that's actually very, very biological, and actually works in a paradigm of evolution, right? That those who think more of themselves are actually the ones who survive. But I guess that the because we have reached billions of populations, I guess that natural selection doesn't work that way anymore compared to before, that there was a few population, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, natural selection is completely different now because the set of rules, the environment is completely different. But it's also always changing, you know. I mean, we adapted to a specific environment. We are rewarded with social emotions mostly. Works and the way that our own condition works is we get rewarded by just feeling good, you know. I have a good time with my friends. I am rewarded by that. If I can be like a person, if I make them laugh, I'll be happy, you know. And so when a society grows, it's very gradual, you know. From we go from the point where we live in families, which was a very long time. Actually, we as mammals, we have a social nature, but it's just to a very small group. We only tended to like or to trust very close people. If you were to live with someone, to share your resources, to sleep near some uh, people, you really need to trust them, you know. You have to really know that they are not going to kill you, because it's important, you know. And so, well, there's always been the people that think, well, I hunt more lions, then why shouldn't I get more food? And those people kind of just go away, and they start taking care of themselves that way. But well, there's always been that people. There's also animals who do that. There's also animals who don't. But it's it's more complicated now because we have a very big impact on the world, and it's like we haven't realized it yet. But we're not just a monkey who gets more resources. We are taking them away from the planet in a way that maybe in a point they won't be able to replenish, to restore, you know. And I've read I don't know if you know Yuval Noah Harari. He talks about when societies grow and grow. There's like a tipping point in our evolution. When we were able to start for the first time in all the evolution of every animal to like imagine things that are not real, to believe in things that are not necessarily right there. For example, tribes began to believe in spirits in a way that no other animal can, because you can tell a monkey that if he's a good monkey, he's going to go to heaven. A monkey cannot understand that. A monkey just wants the banana and to eat. You know, you can't get him to understand those things. So, what differentiates us from them mostly is the ability to think of abstract things, and also the complex language we have. It evolved so much that that same concept of believing in spirits and all sort of things, it got more sophisticated. That in a point they started thinking about gods. Then they thought about only one god, and then they thought about no god but money. And money is also a very abstract thing, you know. So yeah, right now we're imposing those things, and we still have those behaviors of selfishness. So, I mean, the certain, because well, not everyone thinks like that. But when you have a system that's set up that way, where money is the way of giving you access to all the other things, the environment becomes completely different, you know. And natural selection um, changes, it morphs into that, and people have to adapt, you know. So right now we have been adapted to something and we are living right now in a system that we are not adapted to, and which also hasn't been adapted to us, but we're following its rules like like really like it was some kind of god, like the economics, like it's like they move the world, you know. The countries that are more important are the countries that have more money, and they have control over most things because some invisible god decided to give them more power, you know. We're so into that that we can't really see that it's just our imagination,
Yeah, I get it. That
you know.
I love that you describe money as the new god, because it actually sort of is. You know, it's what we attain to. It's why it's the stuff that we try to get more of, and that how we it's simply our imagination. It's you're truly right. Just paper is just paper, and coins are just pieces of metal, and um
Yeah.
but I guess that we human beings have to live with this, you know, and if we can choose to leave society altogether, but we will I think wouldn't be able to survive alone, you know. And that's why we in order for us to continue living a long lifespan, we have to conform to the system that we were born in. But hopefully someday we can reach a point where human labor is not necessary, and there would be some sort of universal basic income, or simply that everything would be free, you know. But I guess that
Yeah.
as long as there are people in power on the top who are in control of the production and how progress is made,
Mm.
I don't think they would allow a perfect world to happen, because in that world they would lose their power. You know, the hierarchy would be destroyed, and they don't want that. They still want to be on the
Or
top,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
the when people know that we don't actually need to work anymore, and that, for example, robots or machinery or factories can produce on their own, and to a more higher level compared to just human labor, then it would be up to the people to stand up for themselves and say, hey, you might be able to produce more, but we as a human beings, we're not gonna let you we're not gonna buy your stuff unless you help society altogether, you know. And that's what the thing that companies need. They need consumers, right? No matter how much they produce, if the
Yeah.
consumers won't buy them, would cancel them, then they would have no power. So I guess that it's just simply progress that we're expecting, you know. But still, what you said earlier, that no matter how good the leaders are, or the system is, human nature will still take its place, and probably have, for example, cases of greed or corruption. But I guess that's the problem of the future, you know. And so we still have to face where we are right now, and we're in a global pandemic, right? uh,
Yeah, but I don't think that greediness and selfishness are part of human nature itself. You know, it's like a consequence of the way we are living.
yeah, so
Mm. Yeah, and yeah, long as there are people being, as long as there's people in power, they are going to be protecting it. Yeah, that makes it very hard. And of course, we can live by our own, because that's not what we really would want to do. Because living alone, being a hunter gatherer, was very hard, and it's not sustainable in the way the world is today. So we actually, well, if you look at all the whole of human history, we've been more close and more united every time. Even right now, we are separated by nations, by parties, and everything. But the world is globalized, and I can talk to you. You're in the other end of the world, and we can have this conversation, which is something amazing. And so the thing is, we would need to get that um, in another way, because it's not that we need to just end this and go back to being sole people, like living on their own. We need to actually help each other more, to share the resources, because we do have them, but we're organizing them in a very bad way. A lot of food gets wasted. There's a lot of clothes being manufactured every second because companies are trying to sell. But if companies, or not companies really, if people were just producing things to use them and to give them to people who need them, it would be far better. We would need far less clothing. We would need far less cars, like I said before. If we were to share those things, but it's not exactly share them, because share it's a concept within our current mind frame. um, so when you say share, it's about I have something that it's mine, and I can give it to another person so he can use it. But it's not really like that, because everything is nothing really belongs to anyone. That's also a mind construct. Things just are right there, which is kind of what Buddha tells about the things that most things are really nothing. Everything you identify with an object, it could be like an emotion it evokes in you, and the sense of property or anything, is actually nothing more than something that we are imposing on that object. And so we need to go beyond that and realize that it's just the thing. Like we could be like having access to many things, because that's what people need. Access to food, access to clothes, access to I don't know, even a guitar. If I need to play the guitar, I want to have access to a guitar. So right now I would need to buy one and have it on my room, and whenever I want to use it, I could just use it, which is why I bought it for. But what if you could just like go to a music center or something that's near from you? You can just, whenever you want, or whenever you stop using it, you return it. And we could be doing that with cameras, with even with houses. Yeah, so we're in a point in technology where we can have like very big factories that are fully automated, and then have drones deliver things, and we really don't need more human labor. We're already in that point. We could be surpassing it like right now. But since people need money, since people need work to be able to pay the companies that are actually keeping them away from the things that they need, we have another set of rules. And if a machine steals your job, then you're in a very bad place. But it should actually be a good thing. If my job gets automated, then I don't have to worry about doing those things, and I can just learn more stuff.
Yeah, but well, we live in a capitalist world, man. We have to. But yeah, but
Yeah, sadly.
I think capitalism is better compared to what China is facing now, right? And other communist countries.
Yeah.
But I guess that even the communist countries have to resort to
Yeah, I agree.
being acting like corporations or and making them because that's how production works. That's how the world economy works. And no matter how ideal communism can be, people have to be realistic. You know.
Yeah, of course. I mean, well, I think that China right now is as much as capitalist as the United States. You know, it's just another name. But yeah, capitalism has been around for some time because it has had a lot of good consequences. Even the money system was very good for many things, you know, and it's better than trade because you are setting up a specific value, and it can help you with many stuff, like also with the jobs. And but right now it's being counterproductive. You know, right now we're in a point where we could be surpassing it, and it's giving us more problems than it solves. You know, different from when it
Mm-hmm.
began.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then um it would have to be some, for example, as you say, that we might be ready for a communist world, but but
No, but I don't think it should be a communist world because, like I said, communism makes a lot of mistakes, and communism didn't work before because it simply doesn't work. You know, we have to think of something different. It's not like those are the only two possibilities, but maybe there's something in between that takes the best out of each one and creates something very different, because the world today is very different from like it was when communism was created, you know.
yeah. And I guess that would
Mm.
be for example dependent on every country, I guess. But for example, if
Mm.
I were a country
Yeah.
right now, and if I were to choose between capitalism currently and something in between socialism, I would still choose capitalism because there are other countries, like for example, third world countries or second world, who who I could benefit from and who would overtake me if I were to switch from a capitalist form and more on social reforms, right? And that's why outsourcing has been
Yeah, right.
very popular in from first world countries to third world countries, because labor is very cheap in third world
Mm.
countries, you know.
Yeah, I mean they are taking advantage of it, and we are like seeing it as a good thing, you know, because it may be producing jobs, which is something that people need right now. So we tend to think that it could be good. But for example, when Monsanto came to India, they had new prices very low, like I don't know what was the number, but like 1,000 or 2,000 farmers killed themselves because they weren't able to pay for their stuff anymore because of the competence, the competition. Yeah, so it's very complex. You know, the first thing we need to realize is that it's really complex, and it's making a lot of stuff that we're not very aware of. Um, it's shaping our behavior in a way that we don't fully yet understand, because as we're into it, we can only look at it from inside. So that makes it very hard. But for example, I follow an organization. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called the Venus Project.
Can you repeat that?
Do you know it?
What organization?
Yeah. Well, the
Can you repeat the name of the
I'm sorry.
organization?
Oh yeah, it's called the Venus Project. They are. It was founded by a guy named Jack Fresco, who also saw this, but he died like 2 years ago. But when he was young, he lived during the Great Depression in the United States, and he saw that many people were losing their jobs. They weren't able to pay for their food anymore. The factories were being shut down. There were a lot of people like making queues trying to get a job and to finally be able to pay for a house. But he realized that even though that was a very hard time for everyone, the resources were still there. The factories were still there, the food was still there. Nothing of that had actually disappeared, but it was the rules that made people um, get into that situation. And so he dedicated his life to research about different social systems, and he came up with this idea called a resource-based economy, where 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 we as human beings try to just overcome scarcity, by automating things and making technologies and information available for everyone, and just you know um, giving access to things in a very completely different way. You can just access the place where you get the cameras and all that sort of things, like what I was telling you before. you know and and to really look at our own behavior, and realize that we are constantly being responsible for the behaviors of other people, and how we affect the world. That's complicated.
Yeah, and Manuel, we're almost talking for like an hour, and to end this, I want to ask you one last question. And uh,
Yeah.
as an individual, for example, if someone living from Chile or wherever, how would you make a difference in the world when we live in this capitalist world where uh, the little guy is, well, what we would say, or some would say, oppressed, but mostly limited by the choices of or the power by those in power? How would one make a difference?
Well, it's hard to make a difference in a world where there's so many people. But first of all, I would say to inform yourself. Like we live in the internet era, and for the first time, we have access to a lot of information, and it's there. So people should go and read about, like for example, the Venus Project, or about the human behavior, psychology, and all that sort of things. And when people think that, and once you understand some things, I think the best way to go would be to organize with people. It could be like friends, who kind of thinks the same in a way, but not exactly the same. I mean, people don't have to think the same. That's also a misconception that in order to change the world, we would all have to to think the same, and it would be like a very dictatorial system. But actually, the more different people think, the better, because you get different ideas. You can get different perspectives on all sort of things. And so when we if we were to communicate in a more effective way than we normally do by arguing, we could share these ideas like comfortably. I don't have to feel threatened when someone doesn't agree with me with some things. And so after you inform yourself, you go on and you talk about these things with people, and maybe, I don't know, like start a community or something, to like try to, if you don't agree with this system, for example, for like consumerism is a very bad thing nowadays. If you organize with people, you can try to together bypass that behavior, you know and all that stuff that's keeping us from the future.
Yeah, so you said it, man. Be informed, and if you can, with whatever power you can do, just do good, right? And mhm. And so,
Yeah,
Manuel, thank you so much for your time. It has been awesome talking to you.
thank you.
And
Yeah,
I
very
hope
fun.
that you could guest
Thank you so much.
again in this podcast someday. I just
Oh, I
yeah,
would love to.
and thank you so much, dude. And I have to end this now because it's been too long. But thank you so much, and it's been awesome.
Yeah, take care, man.
So that's the end of it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This is your host, Elmo Ador Jr. And thank you for listening in. And please subscribe. Please follow us on Facebook. Please follow this. Please. Thanks.
If you're a movie collector, you need Movies Anywhere. It pulls your favorite purchase movies from participating digital retailers into one central place, so you can finally say goodbye to scattered movie collections and hello to an organized library. With Movies Anywhere, you can watch your favorite movies on any compatible device, whenever and wherever you want. Ready to grow and enjoy your digital collection? Visit moviesanywhere.com/welcome and register for free. Registration with Movies Anywhere required. Open to U.S. residents 13 and over.
Holidays are here, and so is fashionable fitness. Gift yourself a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 5G, a phone that folds in half to literally stand on its own. Pair it with the Galaxy Watch 4 for ultimate wellness and wow factor. Check health stats, flex personal records. Over 90 activities can be tracked, like biking, swimming, golfing, and more. Invest in yourself with tech made to crush goals. Holidays open up with Galaxy. Shop it all at Samsung.com. 5G connection and availability may vary. Check with carrier. Products sold separately.